Capcom made awesome games, didn't they? Don't get me wrong, today they still make some pretty good games, but they aren't the greatest company around, being obsessed with DLC and all. But I'm not here to talk about Capcom. Well, I kind of am, but that's not the point. In the days of the NES, Capcom made some awesome Disney-based games. DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, just to name a few. However, we're here to talk about one game in particular, Darkwing Duck. Based on the cartoon of the same name, which is even more awesome than the game, by the way. Darkwing Duck has a pretty simple story, but it's an NES game. They aren't really known for complex stories. Let's discuss that story. The fiendish organization for world larceny has started a crime wave across the city of St. Canard, and it's up to Darkwing Duck to defeat 5 of his greatest foes, and Wolf Duck, and invade Fowl's flying fortress to put a stop to Steelbeak's plans. Riveting story, I know. As you've no doubt noticed, Darkwing Duck bears a striking resemblance to Capcom's Mega Man series. And that's no coincidence. Darkwing Duck uses a modified version of the Mega Man 5 engine, which isn't a bad thing, because I happen to like Mega Man 5. While Darkwing's control is a little stiff compared to Mega Man, he has a few moves the Blue Bomber doesn't. Not only can he duck, but he can also grab onto certain objects, which adds a challenging bit of strategy to the game. It's minor, but hey, at least it's there. And DW can use that snazzy cape of his to block some enemy projectiles. The only real problem with the cape is that sometimes when you jump, you'll bring up the cape because you accidentally pushed up when you left the ground. This doesn't seem like much of a problem, however, you can't shoot when you have the cape up. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's incredibly annoying and leads to quite a few hits. However, this problem was fixed in the Game Boy version. And while Darkwing Duck isn't exactly a hard game, it most definitely isn't easy. The game is tough, but I find that it's a good kind of tough. A kind of tough that makes you want to try over and over until you get it right. Which, in the case of Bushroot's stage, can take quite a few tries. And while the stages and enemies are a fair challenge, the bosses can be a complete pushover when you get their patterns down. There are only 2 bosses that ever give me a challenge: Professor Moriarty and Steelbeak. Especially Steelbeak. If you want to hear me rant about Steelbeak's boss fight, I'll talk about that later. If I were to talk about it here, we'd be here all day. Professor Moriarty's boss fight is only really hard for me because it requires multitasking, which I suck at. Not only must you avoid Moriarty's wrenches, but you must also avoid the fireballs launched by the 3 machines scattered around the room. I would honestly count this part as being cheap, but only because of my own faults. Another factor in the challenge of Darkwing Duck, while very small, is how few hits you can take. Enemies and bosses can take as many as 30 to 40 hits, while Darkwing only takes 4 for the whole game. Enemies do seem to drop health very frequently, but you'll still take plenty of hits, and it is very likely that you will die many, many times on your first playthrough. While the gameplay of Darkwing Duck isn't incredibly balanced, it's still really fun. If you're a Mega Man fan or Mega Man veteran, the stiffness of the controls will be very apparent, but it comes recommended not only to Mega Man fans, but action fans and Darkwing Duck fans alike. My final verdict on Darkwing Duck is, it's a solid action game with quite a few Mega Man elements thrown in and some sporadic difficulty, and much of the difficulty comes from stiff controls and, in the case of me, my own faults and failure multitasking. While I don't think that everyone will like this game, I friggin' love it. Even if you haven't seen the show or aren't even a big Mega Man fan, I still recommend that you try it out. You just might like it. Or you might end up like me and it'll become your favorite NES game. Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. I was just recording footage for the next video. I want to thank you all for watching, and also I want to thank a certain somebody, the gaming historian, because without him, and this tweet, this video would never have happened. I know it's very minor, but that small little amount actually did give me the courage to write the script for this video. So, that's all there is to that. Go follow him on Twitter, subscribe to him on YouTube if you haven't already, and that's all I got to say about that. See you guys next time.